Hey guys, Alex and Dad from 7th Hour Films back again with Doctor Who Classic. Last time around we finished up The Monster of Peladon. What was that one about?
Well, it turns out that the Ice Warriors have made a deal with
Galaxy 5
to steal whatever Peladonian minerals they were after.
The Trisilicate.
And that's what ultimately gets the miners and the aristocracy of Peladon to all work together. And then they find out that Eckersley, who is the engineer that we thought was neutral but was kind of fishy, turns out to be, he's in league with the bad guys. And the monster turns out to be, not to be Agador, who is still just the same, pet monkey that he had been before, but instead all these bad guys who are trying to take advantage of Peladon. And ultimately, all the bad guys get overthrown, and in fact, didn't Eckersley, who was killed by Agador?
That was Eckersley.
Eckersley, yeah. So the Doctor manages to let the little rhinoceros monkey, whatever he was, take control of everything, and then ultimately the Queen, is liberated through all of the speeches from Sarah Jane. And now, did they actually get back in the TARDIS and go off? I couldn't remember.
That was the ending, was just they just went back into the TARDIS. Okay. So, but yeah, so the Ice Warriors, I think just one of the miners or one of the guards killed Commander Azixir, and then Agador killed Eckersley, but not before Eckersley also killed Agador. So, and then it ended with Gebek becoming the new Chancellor. Right. Yeah. So yeah, some interesting stuff. Now, I don't know if Peladon ever comes back in classic Doctor Who, but apparently there was an idea to bring back Peladon in modern Doctor Who, because this last one here was specifically because there were like minor strikes in the UK. So apparently there was an idea to do a Peladon Brexit story. Of just them getting out of the Federation, I guess, and it came really close, but it was never made. So, of course, I guess they could still make it, and it's still an ongoing thing, isn't it? So,
yeah, and just I wonder. Yeah, we're now 3 or 4 years on. Just you wonder if Brexit was really worth it.
Yeah, so
I think they'll still be feeling that for a couple of years.
Yeah, so there's plenty of time if Russell T Davies wants to get in that quick last-second Brexit Peladon story. So, anywho, today we're on to Planet of the Spiders, which is the final story of Season 11. It is 6 parts long, so obviously it'll be 2 videos, but yeah, with a title like that, I don't know, it sounds like an old-school episode, honestly, yeah. Planet of the Spiders, so...
And let's hope we don't have a lot of really bad special effects on this. That would be kind of sad. Because isn't this also John Pertwee's exit?
Most likely, I would say.
We assume that because unless he comes back at the beginning of season 12 and then regenerates then. Yeah.
I don't think they would do that considering Troughton, he regenerated at the end of his season, so... So yeah, I would imagine this is probably it. Okay. So, but yeah, so we will go through this, and if this is indeed the end for the Third Doctor, then we will be, also next week, we'll be going over every Pertwee story and giving very brief thoughts on that, because that's apparently what we do at the end of every era.
Yeah.
So, and this time around we have so many, but we're prepared. I have all the thumbnails and everything ready to go through.
Oh, cool.
So... but that'll be next week. Again, assuming that this is it for Pertwee. So, yeah. You got anything else?
I got nothing.
Then let's just go ahead and jump right into Planet of the Spiders. Here we go.
Yates?
I think it is. This is where he retired.
Om Mani Padme Om is a mantra. I'm given to understand there was an ashram of some kind in Herringswell, the first place that I lived in England. This would have been after we left.
You enjoyed that.
Extraordinary muscular control.
No.
Very fit,
Belly
that
dancer.
girl.
Moving things by the power of the mind. Very rare and developed faculty in Homo sapiens. Professor, Mr. Clegg, would you give us a demonstration? Well, please. Very well. Your powers may seem to be extraordinary, but I assure you that they lie dormant in everyone. They're perfectly natural. I find that very difficult to believe. But that's what my
That actor
experiments
seems
are
like
all
we've
about.
seen him
Mr.
before,
Clegg.
too.
Yeah.
Not only a journalist, but a woman journalist. We do not want her here.
Well,
It's still not too late to stop her coming.
but it is.
Mr. Yates has already gone to the station to fetch her.
Something you have to learn is there's no stopping Sarah Jane. Also, I guess it makes sense they can't find an actual guy from Tibet, can they?
Well, by the mid-70s, they should have been able to find somebody from Asian origin, especially from India, because a lot of the chanting and things like that were an Indian practice.
Look, you'd better start at the beginning. I mean, what are you doing here anyway?
Trying to sort myself out, I suppose, after that golden age mess.
Well, then you must tell the brig or the doctor.
You think they believe me? Last time we met, I pulled a gun on them.
Oh, now I get it.
This all has something to do with spiders. I'm just not sure yet.
This watch was given to you 11 years ago. You received it in a hotel. A hotel by the sea. Brighton, was it? From a young lady called Doris. She said it was to mark her gratitude to
Yes,
you.
all true, absolutely spot on.
You didn't think that through.
Surely you've got enough, Doctor.
A little too much, perhaps, they understand.
For the Doctor or for me?
Well, that's just it. It's addressed to the Doctor, or Brigadier Lethbridge Stewart, or Captain Yates, or Sergeant Benson. It's from South America.
What, from Joe?
I reckon so.
Well, let's take a look. From beyond the stars. But could it be a meteorite?
Oh, it's the
It's beautiful.
thing that he got from Metabilis 3.
Gemstone.
Oh.
A blue jewel.
Ah.
Oh, not that stone of yours.
The crystal from Metabilis 3. Thank you, Mr. Clegg.
Boy, they're referencing
Take a look,
everything
shall we?
today. Next, they're going to bring up that Liz actually left Cambridge. Were there spiders on Metabilis 3?
Not that I remember. There was something that was chasing him.
Well,
You're too late, Brigadier. He's dead.
well, geez. There goes that character.
Try some CPR on him. He's only
Yeah.
dead for 2 seconds.
Chest compressions. Well, yep, that's a spider. Well, they've got a lot of things going on.
Yeah.
I think they'll connect somehow, but I don't know. I mean, it's mainly... So I guess we mainly got two things. It's the psychokinesis with Clegg, and then the other side with Yates and this whole Tibetan place.
Lamasery. Not a
Yeah.
monastery, a lamasery.
Right.
I called it an ashram earlier, but that's what I knew. So
Yeah, so... interesting bringing back Yates, though. I kind of figured that would have been it for his character.
Yeah.
So... though it is nice, I will say, because when I saw the title Planet of Spiders, I thought we were going to go to a planet of spiders. But I'm glad that we're not, if this is John Pertwee's last episode, that we have the entire unit gang and everything. So yeah, and also just nice to have a letter from Joe as well.
it was electric spiders.
Turn around, I say.
Alright, this got really stupid really fast.
Oh, the smell of that coffee. Thank you, Sergeant.
Forget it, Sullivan.
You know, I've always said that next to Mrs. Samuel Pepys, you make the finest cup of coffee in the world.
Thank you very much, Doctor. Actually, the secret of it is to get the water.
Look, never mind the dratted coffee.
Oh,
What
dang
about
it.
the spiders?
I wanted to know the secret.
You know, Brigadier, when I was a young man, there was an old hermit who lived halfway up a mountain behind our house. I spent some of the finest hours of my life with that old man.
What are you talking about?
It was from him I first learned how to look into my mind.
The crystal doctor.
That's what I'm trying to tell you, Brigadier. When I looked into that crystal, all I could see was the face of my old teacher. Now, that's fascinating. The crystal lattice is equally balanced from right to left. It's remarkable.
You see, you're not listening to
Perfectly
a word.
balanced,
Of course
as
I am.
all things
Went
should
out into
be.
the cellar, see if-
I said, really, this is important. But you're so interested
No,
in that
but
wretched...
before that, what did you say before that? Did you say spider?
That's right.
Now listen to me, Sarah, this is very important. Tell me the whole story, right from the beginning.
Oh, it's his car.
It's the
Excuse me,
Who-mobile.
sir. Can I help you?
The thing that was specifically commissioned by John Pertwee.
Where's the doctor?
Oh, there's Bessie.
The medical
Oh, good.
officer? Well,
It
this
looks
time
so
of
much
day
better.
will be- No.
It's pretty good use of that.
So it seems after seeing these spiders that he died.
Almost did that like Christopher Lee does.
So there must be some...
Sir, stop him!
Put your hands in the air.
How can you not hit him?
Lead your shots better.
Oh, he's stealing the Who-mobile.
Oh no.
This time it's got a canopy on it.
Oh my gosh, what if we have a car chase between the doctor's cars? This is great.
Oh no, the Who-copter.
The what? What?
Or Holicopter.
Why is it Bessie is the least stupid of his vehicles? It looks like the most dangerous thing.
I think there was one of those in the James Bond film, which is probably where they borrowed it. Oh, so this then.
Nah. Bloody hell. Now, how do you know how to drive that thing?
Yeah. Maybe the Spider Queen is helping him.
Maybe.
No, he hasn't.
Oh god, this thing can
Hey, you're
fly.
not going without me! Doctor! We're flying!
Oh, they fly now! Of course we're flying.
They fly now!
I guess you gotta give it that. It flies.
They fly now!
Although I'm sure there's gotta be something in Bessie
You'll never believe
to make
this,
him
Sergeant,
fly.
There he is!
Right, hang on.
Try to ram him. That thing is only made of 2 popsicle sticks and a propeller hat.
Look out!
Oh, I bet that was cold.
Nuh. So now there are 2 aquatic vehicles for them to chase in. Oh, there he goes again.
And the Doctor, of course, already knows how to do the hovercraft, because didn't he chase the master in one of those?
Something like that, yeah. I was honestly, like, I wouldn't have put it past them if they had just got back in the Who-mobile and just driven it into the water.
But no Sarah Jane.
No, she's bailing on that one. Good drifting.
Doctor Who, Tokyo Drift.
Tuh. I guess this is, maybe it's a shortcut. Alright then.
Alright, now, that was probably the most extreme padding we've ever seen, but it basically advanced the story, and of course, in the 70s that would have been a very exciting chase sequence. But, it did go on probably more than 5 minutes.
Let's see here. Started around just after the halfway point of the episode. And that was about a 12-minute chase scene in which they chased around in cars, which at the very least Bessie was used, so that was at least nice. And then this copter that just happened to be at the unit headquarters, and then luckily the Doctor's new car, it flies now. And then,
but you got that was pretty good, decent, green screen work.
Yeah. And then they get in boats and stuff, which again, I guess it's just maybe John Pertwee didn't think of that when he commissioned this car for Doctor Who, is that they may also want to put it on the water too. So, oh well.
So we're guessing that was a hallucination, that he made himself appear to disappear.
Maybe. Or maybe he teleported to Metabilis 3? I don't know. The spiders are very inconsistent. I wonder how much of that is John Pertwee.
I think that is.
Yeah. Because I know whatever chase they had with the Master, I'm pretty sure it was John Pertwee. I don't remember if it was actually Roger Delgado or not.
Yeah, I think somebody said that Delgado didn't like the water.
Yeah.
Oh.
Clever Lupton.
He did teleport.
Mr. Lupton?
It's interesting the Tibetans seem to be cool. Like, they are actually good people, I think they said.
We are successful? Totally. The crystal is ours. You have done well. I thank you, O Queen. We shall return to our rightful home, Earth, as rulers. We have exhausted our power. Be ready to return.
This got really stupid.
Why do I suspect that Tommy might try to steal it?
Yeah.
Because he thinks it's pretty.
Yeah.
Picture me. Bright young salesman. Salesman of the year, sales manager. Golden handshake, me out on the streets. I came here to get power. Do you think I'm going to get let go now when it's in sight?
I came here just to look for peace of mind.
It's a strange place to go to if you're going to find that power.
This guy's a relative of Harry Potter's. He lives under the stairs.
Well.
Oh, Tommy's pretty.
My precious.
There is a purpose to this character. We'll find it someday.
I don't need the spiders anymore. Look, look.
I heard that.
Master will come to fetch.
Very well.
Step on it on the way out.
I've killed spiders for less.
Stop. You won't need the spiders anymore. Isn't that what you said?
Stop, I can't bear it.
Say please.
We'll pretend we've still got it.
But they'll never believe
We
it.
have no choice. Now listen, Barnes.
Perhaps you've gone mad. Hearing voices, talking to yourself.
You saw the spider, didn't you?
Perhaps I've gone mad too.
It's interesting that this strong, clever, dangerous person was a salesman.
I can't!
Whoop. Wait, why did you stand on it?
That's not the Metabilis we saw before, which was windy and cloudy.
Yeah.
Now it's a desert landscape.
Yeah, I think if they panned a little to the left, you're going to see the RV from Breaking Bad.
You see, I wired the coordinates into the programmer.
Yes, but Doctor, a planet's a big place.
Yes, well, I always leave the actual landing to the TARDIS herself. She's no fool, you know.
You speak as if she were alive.
Yes. Yes, I do, don't I? Bye, Mike.
Oh, that makes sense.
Take Mike with you.
Oh, yeah.
It's an RV.
Hey, I found a spy!
Well, this just took a weird turn.
Really did.
Now, just a minute, your man. Over there!
Nope.
Just when you thought it couldn't get any weirder.
Yeah, that's a weird one. Last episode I joked that it's like, by the time you get to the halfway point, the story dramatically changes, Like, we had an entire thing going with Peladon and all these different things, and it's like, nope, Ice Warriors. And now this time, it's like, we've got this whole thing of spiders and unit, and it's like, nope, New Mexico. So, yeah, what a strange episode.
Call it Breaking Weird.
Yeah, so... I mean, the blue crystals looks a bit like Heisenberg's blue meth, so... yeah.
By the way, scroll through so we can see who the llama was. Kevin Lindsay, yeah. Okay. So, probably not of Asian heritage.
Yeah. I was gonna see... Okay, I don't know that name. I was gonna see Tuar, but I don't recognize that name anyway, so... Alrighty. So... I just went to the top of my notes, and at the top is, Yates and Mr. Clegg and the psychokinesis, and I just, that felt like it was 6 hours ago. Like, we were watching a different show back then.
But here's the thing. It all seems to fit together. All right? Yes, we started off with the psychokinesis, but then it morphed into the monastery, and now it has morphed into the planet of the spiders. But it's in the same way that Monster Peladon did. When the Ice Warrior opened the door, we went, oh, okay, Ice Warriors. It's now not where we thought we were going, but that makes perfect sense because it happened the last time. This time, although we don't remember seeing spiders when he went to get the blue crystal on Metabilis.
Yeah.
We do know that, and although this doesn't look anything like the Metabilis we saw before, at some point, obviously, that's going to have to be tied back into it.
Yeah, I can only assume that the Doctor went there at night, because he said there was, the moonshine is blue on Metabilis 3. So he must have just gone there at night. He was only there for maybe 5 minutes. Yeah. And so this is just during the day. And during the day... But the other thing is, we saw this wilderness, and we saw, there were 20,000 different, creatures and stuff like that. And then this is New Mexico, which is a bit of a change from the wilderness. So, yeah.
We'll just have to wait and see how it all ties together next week.
I guess so.
But again, it's fascinating, again, to me, in that despite the literally 3 separate storylines, they all now are starting to say, hey, wait a minute, we obviously set up the thing with the blue crystal again, and then we go to the crystal needs to go back to Metabilis because the Spider Queen needs it. But then the Doctor has been there, and Sarah Jane goes there because she accidentally steps on the mandala. And so, again, it all makes sense, and yet it doesn't make sense at all.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very strange. Why didn't they capture Lepton? because he arrived in the same place that Sarah Jane did. So I don't know. Maybe there were spiders there to guard him already. But I mean, everything. You're right. It does sort of feed into each other. It's like, okay, we've got the psychokinesis guy, Mr. Clegg, who, that's how the Doctor learns of the spiders, and then Sarah Jane is already doing that with Yates, and then you got the crystal, which was sent back by Joe, and then, that ties in, well, what do the spiders want with the crystal? It's to use that power to conquer Earth, so it was just sort of an accident that the Doctor took, like, this great weapon or something from them the first time he went. So, yeah. And I guess it's just better that... See, it's... What I'm having trouble with is why here? Because the crystal that the spiders were looking for only happened to arrive back in the UK now, because it's been in the Amazon this whole time, pretty much, since Joe left. But luckily, the native people there were like, no, it's not good, bad magic. So she sends it back to the Doctor, and then it just, that just works out for Lupton and this strange place. But then also just the fact that, like, okay, we need to, I need to find power, and the power he eventually found was the spiders on Metabilis 3. Why a lamasery brought him to this power, I don't know. Because the Tibetans seem to be, they're pretty chill people, I don't know. So it's just sort of a, like, wait, why, like, these dots don't quite connect.
Yeah.
They connect just enough to let the plot keep going.
Yeah.
But there's a couple holes in there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, again, one would hope that we don't end up in episode 6 going, they just let all those things go. Because, it for the writer in me, I want them all to ultimately get tied up at the end, and not just be, here we brought this thing in. Like in Monster Peladon, where the people who were, chanting and about to sacrifice Joe suddenly disappeared and never came back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but the thing I'm thinking is, I feel like now that we're on Metabilis 3, we've kind of dropped the rest of everything that was happening, Because, well, the Doctor doesn't have the crystal, does he?
No, the crystal is still back on Earth.
It's still with Tommy, so they are going to have to go back to that at some point. Yeah. That's true. So, yeah, because otherwise I would say, like, okay, what was the point of Tommy? Why is he here? Why are any of them kind of here, Like, I guess some of them, like, the peace of mind, I understand that. I still don't fully connect how... Like, it would have been interesting if they had... You could have just easily just rewritten his dialogue a little bit, like, keep the whole thing. He was a salesman, sales director, all that stuff, but he got, put out on the street and everything was terrible, and while he wanted revenge... he eventually was just broken, so he came to this place to find his peace of mind, but the spider was like, hey, this dude is completely vulnerable because, he hasn't achieved that peace of mind. I'm going to get him before he does.
Yeah.
That could make sense.
Yeah.
But it seemed like, no, I was searching for this grand power to take over the world, so I came to a Tibetan lamasery where they will try to give you peace of mind so you don't do that. Like...
But... Again, this is a huge stretch here, but the idea is that if you open your mind, you can achieve things that you never achieved before. You have to let go of that which is worthless, and find your inner core, not just inner peace, but find out who you really are. And to him, his inner person is emperor of the world.
Yeah, they kind of do that. They do that a bit on Avatar, where. In order to, like, achieve great power, like, Aang has to sort of give up his earthly attachments and stuff. And weirdly enough, that also reminds me of in Dragon Ball, actually, with Super Saiyan. Like, they kind of go with this thing for if you become a Super Saiyan, it's because you're like pure in heart, basically. So it works for Goku because he is very much a pure-hearted guy. But then his rival, Vegeta, also becomes it. And it's like, well, wait, you're not a pure guy. And it's like, well, yes, but I'm pure evil. So it counts. And it's like, I don't think that's how that counts, you know? But it kind of reminds me of that. It's like, yes, I came to, achieve peace of mind and figure out who I really am. And I really am a bastard. And I'm glad I figured that out. Yeah. So, I guess that could be it. It's just very strange. Very strange. And I know it's risky to ask for an explanation from Doctor Who. But, Mr. Clegg, why does he have powers? It sounded like I've been a street magician for so long that I'm actually now a magician or something. Like, I can see the future. And it's like, okay, I didn't realize that's how it worked. So, yeah, that was just kind of strange that he just somehow developed these powers. And I didn't think about it because it's like, oh, well, maybe they'll explain it a bit. This guy's going to be through the whole story and stuff like that. And then he just died anyway. And it's like, oh, what was the point of that character then?
Yeah. I kind of thought he would go further as well.
Yeah, so I don't know.
So, notes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, so we did have the psychokinesis and stuff, and then seeing the history of objects and stuff. You got the Brigadier's watch, which got a little too into that one.
A little too personal.
Yeah.
A girl named Doris.
Yeah. And I did like when he shut that down, and the doctor's like, "Oh yes, got a little too much there, Alistair." It's the only time he calls him by his first name.
And we've really never learned much about the Brigadier's personal life. So we don't know if he's married or was married or anything.
Yeah, that's true. We don't really know anything aside from just unit. So yeah, that was interesting. And then, Joe sent the crystal back to the UK, which was interesting. And then I like that the doctor brought up the old hermit again. The old hermit on Gallifrey. So, that was... The Demons was the last time we heard that, I think?
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, and that was the end of season 9, I think. So, yeah, they like, call back to everything, pretty much, in this one. Okay. Boy, I don't have a lot of notes left. Because the rest of my notes are Spider. There are powerful spiders on Metabilis 3 that can shoot lightning and also do telekinesis and stuff, but also require this incantation and stuff to work. And can grant these powers, and they can only be seen by the person they're connected to, I guess.
But the other guy in that room with Lepton, when he walked to the door, deliberately stepped around the spider. Or at least it looked like that. So I don't know if he could see it or not.
I don't think he can. I think they could only see it when it first showed up on the mandala. But after that, I think he was just sort of tepidly to make sure he never stepped on it. So there's that. And then the other things, I have Tom stealing things, which he does have the crystal, which is something, but I assume this character will have a purpose at some point. You would think. You would think. You don't write something without a purpose to it. So,
well, his purpose was obviously to steal the crystal at some point.
Right.
They set that up because he likes shiny things, and so Sarah Jane gave him the brooch, and Mike gave him the whatever thing he was around his neck, and then Tommy just said, when he saw it, he said, "Ooh, shiny, gotta have it," and so he steals it through the window, which just conveniently happened to be open.
Yeah.
Because Lepton had to open it up to get some air, I guess.
Right. So I'll rephrase that. There has to be a good purpose to his character, aside from just he happened to steal the crystal. And then the entire chase from episode 2, which was half of the episode, in which there was a car chase between Lupton in the Doctor's ridiculous, stupid car.
Who-mobile.
Yeah, the Who-mobile. The Brigadier in Bessie. This random constable in his police car. And the Doctor in a helicopter that I think even the Wright brothers would look at and be like, I think that's a little too dangerous. And then the chase in the boats. And then they fly as well, and then that just sort of ends when he disappears. And then... So there's all that. Then there's the conquest. The spiders want to conquer Earth because they think it's...
their original home.
I guess.
That's what they said.
Yes.
Which means...
too many things on Earth.
That at some point, and again, don't know that this is time travel, but at some point, again, people from Earth have gone out to the stars, and spiders must have been on the spaceship and somehow became sentient on their new planet, and now they're trying to get back to their original home. That's my best guess.
Perhaps. So we've got spiders, sea devils, and Silurians that are originally from Earth.
Yes. But whereas the Silurians and the Sea Devils were already sentient, what I'm thinking is the spiders were not sentient before they left Earth. I think for some reason they became sentient once they got to Metabilis.
Yeah. It's interesting that there's not too much difference between them and a normal spider, other than they're just really, really big. Although, I don't know, the other day I killed a giant spider in the bathroom.
You may remember I told you that story. Driving out to the old district one time, Jordan and I saw what must have been a tarantula, because about the size of a catcher's mitt. I mean, just huge thing crawling right across 178th Street. And we do have, I did look it up, and we do have tarantulas in this area.
So I'm assuming you didn't run it over.
No. It crossed the street before we could get to it, but we both saw it.
Well, there's something for your nightmares tonight. It's still out there somewhere.
Well, that would have been... Well, when Jordan was still riding with me, so... That was until 8th grade, which would have been about 2004, maybe? 3 or 4, somewhere in there. So, yeah, it's, 14, 15 years ago, so...
Someone probably killed it by then. Some redneck out there. So they want to take over the Earth because
it was their home.
Yeah. But Lupton is thinking, well, I'll take over the Earth and then I'm not going to need the spiders anymore, which doesn't work. Like, I'm not even that confident in the spiders, but this never works. Cybermen, Daleks, you're not going to win, especially you're salesmen. I don't know, like, now the whole thing of, like, well, we're going to bluff them into thinking we do have the crystal. Okay, that's something I'm sure a salesman could do.
Yeah.
But that's it. I'm not sure how this guy is going to take over the world with a history in sales, you know?
Well, that's the megalomania of salesmen.
Yeah, it's like a Girl Scout or a Jehovah's Witness saying they're going to take over the world. Like, I don't know if you have the qualifications for that.
I wouldn't put it past a Girl Scout.
Well, yeah. And then, we went to Metabilis 3 in the New Mexican desert. And I did at least like the part with talking about the TARDIS and saying, well, first off, he programmed Metabilis 3 in, specifically hardwired it into the programming. But then the whole thing of like, oh, well, it's a giant planet. How are you going to find Sarah Jane? And he says, well, I leave the landing up to the TARDIS. So that way she knows exactly where to go. And sure enough, he wasn't even like on the outskirts of town. He was just like 2 feet away from Sarah Jane, which was good. So, yeah. And then we had... at least one last fight scene for the road for Pertwee. But yeah, Metabilis 3, what used to be a blue wilderness with a bunch of animals.
And very windy.
Yeah. Can now be mistaken for the panhandle of Texas. but it probably smells better at least. So, yeah.
For those of you who've never been through the Panhandle of Texas, not only is it the oil that comes up out of the ground there with that huge sulfur smell, they also raise a lot of cattle there. And so when you drive west on Interstate 40, you're going through long stretches of nothing but manure.
Yeah.
In the heat. Yeah. And humidity.
And there's nothing visually interesting in the Panhandle of Texas. Yeah. So, I mean, it's gotten to the point where when we drive through the Panhandle, we specifically, right at the Oklahoma border, get your snacks, get your drinks, go to the bathroom, everything, and we drive, and we do not stop until we make it into New Mexico.
Go to at least Tucumcari or Santa Rosa before we stop,
It's... So, and to anyone who could possibly be living in the Panhandle of Texas, I'm sure you get it. So, anyway. Well, I hope this wasn't like a too short discussion, but I don't really know what to say about this episode.
One other thing. You were making some remarks about the spiders themselves.
Yes.
But here's the thing. Although they are pretty cheesy, it's better that they did not try an actual person inside of a spider suit, which would have really been ridiculously bad.
Yeah.
So, having just the small spider, and again, they could have done some things where, shooting from like over the spider's thorax or something, so that we're not actually watching the entire thing at once, because it becomes pretty obvious, like in that last one where the if that was the queen or whoever that was sitting in the middle of that cushion, that was very obviously something that they could then manipulate from below. Yeah. But again, what they've done for the 1970s was pretty good. But again, as silly and as rubbery looking as the spiders are, it's certainly better than trying to make an actual person, because you wouldn't have all 8 legs to be controlled. You would obviously, like Alpha Centauri, every time he or she moved her upper limbs, the other ones came along with it. They were obviously all connected.
Yeah, that's true. The only thing about it is, like, look, I get they're powerful. They have their lightning for some reason. They have all of that. But I'm thinking, and especially in this New Mexico looking place, where I'm sure there are rednecks somewhere on this planet, you get a decent enough board of wood and you just whack it to death, I think you can take them. Not saying that it would be like a landslide or anything like that. Like, I'm sure people would die to the spider's electricity. But I think you could take them. Just put on some decent boots and jump on it. I think your weight will counteract it. But other than that, you're right that it does look better than if they tried to make a spider costume thing. They would have done that 10 seasons ago, but not anymore.
Now, are we about 74?
That is a good question. This is 1974.
All right, so at least 4 years earlier, maybe 5 years earlier, Sesame Street had... I know, Doctor Who, what am I doing comparing it to Sesame Street? But on Sesame Street, in addition to the regular Muppets, they had Big Bird. Now, if you've never seen... And spoilers if you're a young person and you've never heard this story before. But inside of Big Bird, there's an actual person. But the thing is, instead of the Big Bird head being his head, it's actually him holding his hand up with Big Bird's head there and Big Bird's neck, and then he's inside the body. And so he has all sorts of things that he can manipulate to make Big Bird's eyes open and close and turn the head and to speak and things like that. And the reason I know this is because, let's see, it was 69, 70, 70, 71. In the fall of 71, I was in a show at the university where it was a fairy tale, and the characters met a person called the High Cockalorum. He was literally the rooster who causes the sun to rise every morning with his crowing. And we actually built one of these, and there was a guy inside. It was very much like Big Bird, but instead of a canary, he was a giant chicken. He was a big rooster. But he was in there, and he could make the eyes open and close, and the eyebrows go up and down, and give you the hairy eyeball, and the whole works. So if we could do that at the university in 1971, they might have been able to do some kind of spidery sort of thing. But again, unless that was not part of their budget, or if the spiders aren't going to be a huge part of the visual process of what we're going to see next, if it's it's mostly the talking, the mental thoughts of the spider, then again it's better that they simply went with the smaller version. And again, though, as a director, I would say let's find some way of not showing the whole thing, where it really, really does look like a rubber spider, but find some way of making just the eyes, just the face, or just the occasional leg here and there, so that it again becomes creepier and creepier every time you see it.
Yeah, that sounds incredibly tiring to keep your arm up there the whole time.
Now, I don't remember specifically, but I think there was a way that there was literally something in there where he could rest his arm on a support, so all he was really doing was moving his wrists and his fingers and things like that.
Interesting. Yeah, that would have been interesting. I'm also thinking of was it the Web Planet? Yeah. Like they had the the moth people and stuff, but there was that one sort of ant-like looking creature where it did seem very restrictive for whoever was in there, but I suppose they could have done something like that, but it would have. I mean, I guess because a spider is just way more complicated, it would have been a bit harder. Yeah. So, and then, I mean, how many of those suits are you going to make, too? Yeah. You can have, a whole row of like 20 different spiders there, but if you have really big guys, it's going to take up a lot of room at some point. Yeah. So, So we'll have to see where this is going, where this story is going in our trip to Space New Mexico. So yeah. But yeah, you got anything else?
I got nothing.
Then yeah, next week we'll finish off not only this episode, but this season of Doctor Who, and perhaps this era of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
This is a weird story to go out on, definitely, but we'll have to see. But that is basically it. With all that being said, we're Alex and Ned from 7th Hour Films, and we will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. There's a bunch of links on screen if you want to go click around to any of those. There's a playlist for all of our Doctor Who classic reactions, as well as another playlist for all of my modern Doctor Who reactions. There's also a subscribe button and a Patreon button on screen, as well as other links in the description if you want to go check out any of those. See you guys later.